Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter 1, Exercise 1c, Basic Operations of Fractions. In my last video, I explained how to multiply the fractions. So in this video, I'm going to explain how to divide fractions by fractions, and the second main objective for us is to understand the basic operations of fractions. I will make two videos for this exercise, part 1 and part 2. In part 1, I will explain only how to divide fractions by fractions. So let's start. In my last video, I explained how to multiply the fractions. So to multiply the fractions, we always multiply the numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator, and then the final fraction that we get, we have to simplify that fraction if possible, or if it's an improper fraction, we have to change it into a mixed number. This is the way how we multiply the fractions. To divide the fractions, just keep this word in your mind, KFC. It means keep, flip and change. K for keep, F for flip, C for change. Okay, here is an example. It says 2 out of 3 divided by 4 out of 5. So what does it mean when I say KFC? It means that keep this fraction, the first fraction, keep it as it is, 2 over 3, and flip the second one. When we say flip the second one, that means you need the reciprocal of the second fraction. When I say reciprocal of the second fraction, it means that if you have a fraction 4 over 5, its reciprocal will be 5 out of 4. It means its inverse. If you multiply these two, the final answer will be 1. So reciprocal is actually a fraction that is the inverse of a given fraction, or you can say the opposite or flipped one for the given fraction. Then we change this C for change. Change means change this division sign into multiplication. So in the numerators, now it has become a question of multiplication. Like we want to multiply these two fractions now. 2 times 5 will be 10 and 3 times 4 will be 12. And if it is possible to simplify or reduce the fraction, then it is must for us to simplify it. So it can be simplified with the multiplication table of 2. So divide both numerator and denominator by 2. So this will be the final answer. Clear? So these are the steps that you have to follow to divide the fractions. What if we have mixed numbers? So remember, here I wrote that it's very important whenever you are whenever you want to divide or multiply mixed numbers, you should change them into improper fractions first of all, and then you can proceed. Either if it's a multiplication, then go for these steps. If it's a division problem, then go for these steps. Clear? So here's an example. It says a 5 3/5 divided by 2 1/3, and how can we divide it now? Before starting this KFC step, we have to change them into improper fractions. So how do we change them into improper fractions? We have to multiply these two. 5 times 5 will be 25, and then this numerator will be added into it. So it will become 28 out of 5 divided by 2 times 3 is 6, and this one will be added into it. So it will become 7 out of 3. Okay, now this is the question. I mean, this has changed into this one. Now keeping this word KFC in your mind, you have to keep the first fraction 28 out of 5 as it is. You have to flip the second fraction, that is 7 over 3. So it will become 3 over 7, and C means change the division sign into multiplication. And if you think that you are very good in multiplication tables and you can simplify any of the numbers here, 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator, then go for it. Or you can right now in this step, you can multiply and simplify in the final step. What is the easy way to do? The easy way is to simplify them right over here, because at this stage the numbers are small and it's easy to simplify them. When you multiply, the numbers become greater, and it is a little bit difficult to simplify greater numbers. So here you can say 7 divided by 7 will be 1, and 28 divided by 7 will be 4. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 1 is 5. I have multiplied them straight. Straight means the numerator will be multiplied with the numerator and the denominator will be multiplied with the denominator. Can we leave our answer like this? The answer is no. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. So whenever we get an improper fraction, it is must to change it into a mixed number. And how do we change it into a mixed number? I told you a word, nido, means put the numerator inside this division bridge. Write 12 over here, 5 here. So 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract it, the remainder will be 2. How do we write the mixed number? This becomes the whole number. So usually we write it in a little bit, you can say big size, the numbers of big size, and then we write 2 out of 3. So this is how do we divide the fractions. Let's see what do we have in the exercise. So exercise 1c, first of all it says write down the reciprocals of the following numbers. What does as I told you, reciprocal means multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse means if you have a fraction 1 out of let me make it, let's say 2 out of 5, then its reciprocal will be 5 out of 2. Now right now in question number 1, it's not a fraction, so you can make it as a fraction, 4 out of 1. And how will you write its reciprocal? Its reciprocal will become 1 out of 4, right? So 10 over 1, so it will become the reciprocal will become 1 out of 10. What about this one? It's 1 out of 8. So when you will write its reciprocal, it will be 8 out of 1. That means it will be 8. Better pause the video here, complete all these questions on your own, and then play the video to check your answers. So here are all the answers. If you notice this example, it says 2 and 2 out of 3, and they want you to write its reciprocal. So to get its reciprocal or its inverse, you have to first change it into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 will be 6, 6 plus 2 will be 8. So it is actually 8 out of 3, and its reciprocal will become 3 out of 8. Now why do we need a reciprocal? We need actually a reciprocal to in division. When I say flip, that means actually we are taking the reciprocal of the second fraction. So let's start the questions of division. Here is question number 13. It says 5 divided by 4 out of 5. So what you have to do, we will remember this rule KFC. It means keep the first fraction. So the first fraction is 5 out of 1. We have to change the sign into multiplication, and we have to take the reciprocal of the second fraction, or that means we have to flip the second fraction. So it will become 5 out of 4. Now the next step is to multiply them straight. So 5 times 5 will be 25, and 4 times 1 will be 4. Now it's an improper fraction, so you will go for nido, put 25 inside and divide it by 4. So 4 times 6 is 24. So finally the answer will become 6 whole 1 out of 4. So this will be the final answer. Clear? Do you understand? Okay, now I will open the next question, and then I will pause the video because I want you to solve the next question on your own. So better pause the video here and solve this question on your own. Here is the answer. So what is it? Because it's an improper fraction, so first we have to change it into it's a mixed number, so we have to change it into to an improper fraction. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2, it will be 5 out of 3 divided by 5 out of 6. Next we have to keep the first fraction, we have to flip the second one, and we have to change the sign. So I did all of them, and then I can see that 5 and 5, they are in the same multiplication table, so they can be cancelled with the they can be divided or simplified by 5, and 3 and 6 can be simplified with the with 3, so I divided here by 3. So finally I'm getting 2 and 1 in the numerator, so 2 times 1 will be 2, 1 times 1 will be 1. Now 2 out of 1 is the same as 2, so this is the answer. Now I want you to pause the video here and solve question number 16, 17 and 18 on your own, and then play the video to check your answers, right? Here are all the answers for question number 16, 17 and 18. In question number 16, this was mixed number, so I changed it into, first of all, into an improper fraction, and then keep 3 over 7, multiply it by 4 over 7. We cannot simplify any of the numbers, any of the numerator with the denominator, so you have to multiply 3 by 4, so it will be 12, and 7 by 7, it will be 49. In the second case here, we can put 1 under this 10, so it will become 10 over 1. We can flip it and it will become 1 out of 10. And 5 and 10 can be simplified by 5, so 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. If you multiply them straight, it will become 1 times 1 will be 1, and 9 times 2 will be 18. So this will be the final answer. Here in question number 18, we have this one is a whole number, so we can put 1 under it to change it into a fraction. So 3 over 1 divided by 2 over 3, and 3 over 1, flip the second one, it will become 3 out of 2. So when you multiply it straight, it becomes 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 1 is 2. Now most of the students, what do? They think that this 3 and this 3 can also be simplified with each other. Remember, whenever you are simplifying, you have to take one number from the numerator and one number from the denominator, not the numbers that are either both in the numerators or both in the denominators. They cannot be simplified with each other, right? So 2 times 1 will be 2. Now this is an improper fraction, so how do we change the improper fraction into a mixed number? We divide it, so we will divide 9 by 2. It will give you a mixed number 4 whole 1/2, right? That's all for this video. This is part 1. I will make another video, part 2, for this exercise. That's all.